Hi guys, I'm the Drink Pro. Today I'm drinking Van Winkle Special Reserve Lot B. Hey everybody, Drink Pro here. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope you guys are enjoying these videos and you're liking, subscribing, sharing, clicking the bell for notifications. Any way you can support the channel is greatly appreciated by me. I don't know if you saw, but I recently hit 200 subscribers. I was really excited about that, and I'm hoping to cut the time in half that it took me to reach 200. That means reaching 400 subscribers by July. So if you can do anything to help me reach that goal, please do help out. And if I reach 400 by July, I'm going to pick 2 of my subscribers and send them each glasses with my logo on them. So you're going to get your very own branded Glencairn glasses. Today I'm trying one of the biggest names in whiskey, Pappy Van Winkle. Now I will say, a lot of people use the term Pappy kind of loosely. This is a 12-year Lot B, so this is not actually Pappy. Pappy is only on the 15, the 20, and the 23-year-old versions of this whiskey. This is the 12-year, so it's a Van Winkle Special Reserve. Now, why is it called Lot B? I haven't really been able to find out. The best answer that I've seen, which was kind of glib but funny, is it's not good enough to be Lot A, which becomes Pappy, so it's Lot B, and we'll still sell it. This stuff is sitting at 90.4 proof. I got a little ounce here. Shout out Dan at Heavy Bourbon on Instagram. Check him out. He posts videos every day. This is a nice little 1-ounce sample of the Lot B. I believe this is the 2019 edition, but I think they're all coming in at 90.4 proof, or 45.2%. Now, all of the Van Winkle line actually are wheated bourbons. And what does that mean? The second ingredient in these whiskeys besides corn is not rye, but wheat. And then they have the malted barley as well. That should create a smoother pour and something that's easier to drink on the palate. There is actually a lot of hype around the Van Winkle line, and a lot of people argue that it's unwarranted. So I'm really excited to try this Lot B today and find out how I feel about this series. Now, I don't have a whole lot of information about this particular pour, and I didn't dig too deep into the Van Winkle history for this video because I intend to, at some point in the future, get the Pappy line, the 15, the 20, and the 23, and do a video on those. And when I do that, I will do a deeper dive into the history of Pappy Van Winkle, Julian Van Winkle, the old Rip Van Winkle Distillery, and all that goes with it. But today, I just want to focus on the Lot B. This is the first time I've ever tried the Lot B. Years ago, I had a Pappy Van Winkle 15-year, and it was before I was really experienced in whiskey, so my tasting notes I don't really trust, my opinion of it I don't really trust. Now that I've had so much different experience in the world of bourbon, I really want to go revisit those lineups. But this is the first time I've ever tried the Lot B, so we'll see how I compare it to other pours I've had in the past, particularly how I think it compares to other wheated whiskeys. Let's go ahead and pour this out. Liquid gold. Oh, wow. So the smell on this is actually really fantastic. Oh. Now, I haven't had anything to drink today. This is coming in with a totally fresh palate, but the nose on this is absolutely gorgeous. It's deliciously honey forward. It's got this like honey nut Cheerio component. You get the grain and the honey sweetness. A lot of vanilla is coming forward as well. I get a very subtle nuttiness on this. I can't decide if it's a walnut or an almond. It may actually be both. You know, I'm trying to think of other kinds of nuts. The very common ones, cashews, pecans, almonds, walnuts. It doesn't really fit in any of those categories, but it has a nuttiness to it I can't quite place. And you're not going to get a lot of spice on these pours. It's very sweet and grain forward, but it's not spicy at all because there's no rye in it. A lot of that spice that I get on the nose tends to either come from a lot of time in a barrel, which 12 years is a lot of time, but not compared to a 20 or 23, or it's coming from the rye, which there's none in this particular pour. There's also a very gentle floral note that's kind of hidden underneath all of that sweetness. The sweetness is definitely predominant, but there's also this subtle floral note that I really appreciate. I kind of expected a little bit more creaminess because of the smooth wheat component, but there definitely is some of the creamy flavors. They're just not showing up as the creamy texture, which is an odd thing to talk about, texture on the nose, but you really do get the sense of some of these whiskeys that there's this creaminess, this softness that really rounds things out and gives them a more robust profile. But that robustness isn't really showing up on the tail end of this. In the nose, I'm definitely getting the sweetness and the roundness of the honey and the grain, but not really the creaminess. I get a chocolate, like a bitter chocolate note, but it's very subtle. I also get very subtle notes of a mintiness, maybe a spearmint. And very subtle cinnamon as well. You know, a lot of these notes may have dissipated over time because it's been open a while or it's had too much time in a half-full bottle. I'm not sure if I'm picking up all the notes. I'm getting lots of hints of little things. A little bit of tobacco, a little bit of chocolate, a little bit of coffee, a little bit of rose. But they're not really popping and exploding. When I first poured this out of the bottle, it certainly seemed to kind of explode out of the glass. So some of this might be due to too much time open. But that's not a criticism of the whiskey. It's a wonderful smelling whiskey still. All right, let's go ahead and give this a taste. It's a little warmer than I thought it would be. I didn't expect this to be this warm. 45.2%. It's waking up my palate. But it's incredibly smooth. I mean, I'm almost worried they're sacrificing the flavor journey for the smoothness. It's just lovely, sweet, and warm. It's a very, rock you off to bed kind of pour, at least on the first taste. Let's give it another sip and see what I think. Man. It's a delicious bourbon. No question. You get the very classic bourbon notes, the honey, slight woodiness. Oh, the warmth lasts forever. My mouth is still kind of coated in that oil, and the warm notes are really lingering. But it's not hot. It doesn't hurt or burn like some of the higher proof stuff. It's just this nice, soft, sweet, warm quality with some toasted oak flavors in there. All very gentle and caressing. After tasting it and going back to the nose, I definitely get pecan. I'm getting some strawberry notes. Like strawberries dipped in chocolate. I dig that. Hint of like a caramel apple. Okay, let's give it another taste. Honey and subtle cinnamon right away. Mid-palate, you get this nuttiness and the slight bitterness of the wood, but it's very subtle. Into the finish, you get this wonderful warmth washes over you. It washes over your mouth. You get this nice Kentucky hug, but it's not too aggressive. It's not an explosion. It's not like if you pulled out, the George T. Stagg and we're just going to be hit with it. You can't help but experience that. This one is surprisingly kind of background in a lot of the characteristics. The biggest criticism I've heard about the Van Winkle line is that it's too gentle, it's not complex enough, it's not interesting enough. It's good, but it's not unique or a journey that it takes you on. And I kind of agree. It doesn't take me on a journey, but it's fantastic. It's the ideal whiskey for someone who wants to have the best taste possible and not think too much about what they're drinking. And I know people are like that, which it's really interesting to me because it kind of makes Van Winkle a non-whiskey drinker's whiskey. It's a non-bourbon drinker's bourbon, which is kind of unfortunate because they have such a big name in the line and they're such a well-known pour. You would want it to be just this prototypical whiskey. And I do think it has a lot of the quintessential bourbon flavors, and the incredible smoothness sort of highlights what you want in a really nice, gentle, soft whiskey. Yeah, the apple's definitely coming through now, but it's just not quite hitting on all the cylinders I would want for something that I'm going to pay several $100s on. If you can find this bottle for retail, I think it's $70, maybe $100. I can't recall exactly what the MSRP is on this. I'd pay $100 for this bottle. It's a fantastic bottle. It's a wonderful quintessential wheat whiskey in terms of hitting all of the classic notes. This is really perfect, but I think most people don't want that. I think most people want an adventure. They want to explore. If they're in the whiskey world and they're willing to pay hundreds of dollars for a bottle, unless they're bringing in bank, they're doing it because they want an adventure. And this isn't going to take you on an adventure. This is going to rock you to sleep at night. I think that's a good thing, though. I'm happy I'm tasting this. Thanks again, Dan, for letting me try it. Oh, it does smell wonderful. I might like the smell better than I like the taste. But I'm going to go finish this pour, and you guys keep drinking like professionals. Cheers. The sweetness of the Lot B is really surprising. It's much sweeter than I expected it to be. It's got this wonderful journey of sweet berry honey softness. I just compared it to the 18-year Elijah Craig, and which will be a future review. And I gotta say, it shows you the quality of this whiskey. It stands up really well to very expensive, very interesting, rich, wonderful whiskeys. It's not an $800 whiskey in my opinion, but it's so wonderful at what it does. It does such a good job presenting a classic bourbon palate, and it brings that wonderful berry note, which I always love in a whiskey too. So very solid pour, guys. All right, now I've had several other pours. I'm a little bit deep into the video recording process. I wanted to revisit this because it's such a special pour. It means so much to so many people. The Van Winkle Lot B. It's good. It's incredibly smooth, wonderfully sweet berries. I keep coming back to those same notes, though. I wanted to do this because I know how much other flavors that you taste before and after you drink can affect your experience. And I gotta say, it's still very, very good, but not much has changed. It's worth noting. It's a good thing to have the experience of, because I don't know when I'm gonna get another chance to sample a Lot B, so I figured I gotta make the most of it while I got it, right, guys?